Right. Hello, hello. We are in a little early so that people can get on in. So welcome. I do hope that everyone is doing well. Let's see here. Right. Reginald, I see that you are in here. I just promoted you to panelist, so click whatever you need to click. There you are.
God, I done got a whole promotion. Ain't that good? Oh,
Look at you with the look at these backgrounds.
Look, I'm mad that you have a city. Do you know how hard it
Not
was?
only a city, but the city of Birmingham. See what I did there? Yeah, it's a view. Oh, there's levels to this. You know what I'm saying?
That come with the paid subscription. Ooh, with the Sabre cup.
Oh, it's levels.
There's levels to it. I got
levels. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna try to get this going live on Facebook.
Oh God.
Look, fancy backgrounds and all.
That's how we do it.
Mark, we're gonna try. Last time I did this, it didn't work.
Mark J, how are you?
Let's see here.
See it in the chat.
Don't stalk the people, okay? We're in a little early.
I like people to be on. Mark. There we go. I keep my face straight because they're gonna freeze frame me when I'm gonna be doing something goofy. So when people click on this video to look back at it again, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be some weird face that I made.
That you're already thinking about that. All right, we are live on Facebook, so that's working.
Is that what that's called?
What?
A thumbnail.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
All right, so it's not quite 1:30, so we'll give everyone a chance to get in and get situated before we officially get started. What?
Oh man.
Don't start this right at 1:30.
All right, here we go. Okay, this is what I'm looking for.
Right.
Coronavirus, COVID-19. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna pull these up. All right.
Okay, I think I have one more step I need to take. Hello, as everyone comes in, just a reminder, we're a little early, giving everyone a chance to get here, get situated, have a seat, if you would. Feel free in the chat to say who you are. If you have a website, if you're a business owner especially, feel free to spam away, put all the information that you want to put, your website. Any of that information is welcomed today. So in the chat box, say hi, put your website, feel free to give your pitch, do whatever you would like to do.
Jackie, where's this live?
I am taking that step right now.
Okay.
It makes it seem as though it is live. But we're going to see. It would be the Create page though.
Okay.
Again, as people come in, just if you would say hi in the chat. Hey, Sam. So glad that you could be with us today. Let's see here. So come on in. Hi, Danny. Thank you for being here. Boom, that's the button I need to press right there. All right, Mr. Smith, I lost your video. You okay over there?
Yeah, I was.
Are you gonna land here with us?
I was trying to I was looking at Facebook on my phone, and I didn't want to be looking away from.
That's okay. People are coming in, taking their seats, you know, like we used to do in real life. Where people come in and sit down and chat amongst themselves. So just again, a reminder, if you're just joining us, please do chat who you are, what your name is. If you own a business, please feel free to put the website, Facebook links, whatever you'd like to put in there. Again, this is like a little 5-minute networking piece here while people make their way in. You know, we don't shake hands and give out business cards like we once did in life. So use the chat as your hi, how are you? We'll see how that goes.
Your business.
Gold City Ministries, awesome. We have Rebecca Davis with MrsCleanGreen.com. Okay, something happened there, but I do not know what it is.
Nice.
It's Jessica Moody with Create Birmingham. Jamie B. Well, thank you for being here. Putting it together is only one half of it. Club Duquette is in here. We are clothing, supplies, vibes, and lifestyle shop over in Woodlawn. All right, I'm gonna press go live one more time and we're gonna see how it goes.
Oh man, COVID-19 is causing everything to slow down. Seems like.
Yes, it is, but we're gonna be okay.
We're gonna be all right.
We are. But while we wait, how are you today?
Good. Just
awesome.
Just amongst the stars and the satellite. There it is.
Webinar. Did it come up that time?
On Facebook.
Say what?
It says webinar streaming live on Facebook. Perfect. No, I can't find it. There it is.
All right. Look at us. High tech. All right. So if you are watching this in here with us online, right, not quite in Woodlawn, you're right, I'm sorry, like kind of in Woodlawn, but virtually mostly. So again, we're gonna give everyone like 2 minutes just to get in. Thank you, Jessica, for checking, because you know I'm trying to do all the things right now. So if you're on Facebook and you saw the live, please feel free to share it with people who may not have come in through the link. Also, if you are just coming in, yes, you do always have me, Jessica, and I appreciate you so much. If you are just coming in, again, please feel free to say hi in the chat and put like a business link or website, whatever you want to put to introduce yourself. This is the virtual equivalent of hi, how are you, what do you do? And then we will get started here in just one short minute.
Nice.
I can't see it right now on Facebook. Do we look good, Reginald?
Yeah, it
With
looks
these
good.
virtual backgrounds? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. It's going back and forth between us as we talk, so that's a good thing. So it's good.
Awesome.
It's all set up and ready to go.
All right, well, 1:35, I believe in being punctual, whether we're at home in half pajamas at the bottom or if we are in person. However that is happening, I want to start on time and value your time. So let me officially introduce myself. My name is Jackie Jones. I am the Community Engagement Manager for Create Birmingham. I also own 1 Degree Marketing. So I'm a small business owner, but I try my best to be a resource for small business owners and communities who are usually underserved. So we are here to have our virtual version of what we already do, which is called community conversations. And normally we would be having conversations in a community, at their library, talking about what's happening in their community specifically. But right now, our community is kind of all in the same place for the most part. And since we were trying to be safe, we decided to do this virtually. So thank you all for dropping all your information in the chat. And I will say that occasionally. Do not feel like it's spamming in any way. Hopefully people will scroll through, see who you are, click on some things, save, bookmark, email you randomly and say, hey, I don't know exactly what you do, but you were in this webinar. So please feel free to connect while that's happening. Now, I would normally go through a long, drawn out introduction, but I'm not going to do that to you today, Reginald. I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to do it today. So if you would just introduce yourself to everyone, tell us who you are, what you do.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Create Birmingham and the whole team over there for inviting us to be a part. Thank you, Jackie, for putting this together. And on behalf of our CEO, Dr. Ray Morris and the Sabre Finance family, one of my colleagues is in the building, and it's the virtual building, Mr. Samuel Kellett. So we just want to say thank you for giving us an opportunity to come on and share what we have learned and do what we love to do, which is support small business owners in their efforts to grow sustainable businesses and just be there to support them through all of the changes. And so this is a change. We tell businesses that changes are inevitable. And unfortunately, you know, under these circumstances, we still have to navigate. So we want to focus on helping businesses to navigate, and that's what we do. So I am a managing director at Sabre Finance. We're located here in Birmingham, Alabama. We have serviced the entire state. We have 2 offices, one in Anniston and one right here in downtown Birmingham. So thank you all for having us.
In downtown Birmingham, which you can see behind me. Beautiful Birmingham.
Those are called premium features. Jackie has premium features.
No, it's my marketing mind. I was like, I think I'll do this from the skyline of Birmingham. So thank you, Reginald, for being here. We really, really appreciate it. I know that despite the fact that we're all at home, we do all mostly have work to do still, and we're all working, especially small business owners, to pivot, to realign, to figure out what we're doing next. And so we all kind of do have things to do. So let's jump right in. First, I want to acknowledge my levels of marketing capabilities by sipping from this Sabre Finance mug.
This should be a clip. This should be the thumbnail for this video.
All right. So jumping right in. So everybody knows what's going on, right? This is not one of those, I have to explain to you the situation in life. Unless you literally live under a rock, you know what's going on. Right. And when we think about the effect on small businesses, what we've seen is a host of resources, which we're really, really excited about, coming out from different places. We have SBA, we have a lot of organizations who are putting things together. Here in Birmingham, we have, City of Birmingham would be Hamstrong. We have all of these different resources and people who are working like we are at Create Birmingham to try to figure out how we can help support, extend the life of small businesses. But the thing that's come out the most has been loans, right? And that's kind of the leading type of resource that we're seeing. So today's conversation is supposed to be just an open and honest, truth about small businesses taking loans during crisis, specifically now, what we need to think about, whether that's good, bad, or otherwise. And so I'm going to be really specific at first, right? So first, let's qualify something in case people don't know. SBA considers small business if you have revenue under $36 million.
That is correct. So that small, is not that is not a slap in the face to anyone.
No, it's not, because that's not me. That's not my business.
For a very long time. A small business is not a slap in the face. That's a very large group of businesses that fall in that space.
And so it's important, though, for people to understand that. And I wanted to make sure I started by stating that, because when we think about the types of resources that SBA or anyone is offering, we often think about small businesses as owners as ourselves, right? Micro small businesses, maybe solopreneurs, or people who don't have employees but maybe use contractors, things like that. And so when we look at the resources, we have to remember that they're helping the solopreneur, hopefully, all the way up to the 36 million. So it's a very wide range when we think about revenue. So my question is, first, do we feel like, or do you feel like, when it comes to loans during crisis, that there is a stigma around taking on debt during crisis? Like, in your experience, do you feel like that's something a lot of people are dealing with? And what do you say to that stigma of, no, I don't want to take a loan. I don't want more debt while I'm already wondering what's going to happen to my business?
Yeah, it's a daily conversation, especially now. I think that before now, a lot of businesses had not experienced anything like this before. So to your point, people talk about 2008, but 2008, you go back, that's 12 years ago. So unless you've been in business for over 12 years, you weren't around during that time.
Right.
And a lot of the companies that we deal with on a consistent basis are those micro enterprises. So all of this is very new to them. So they're really trying to understand, okay, if I take out a loan, what does that look like? And most of them are really having to, which I think is great, they're having to think through, okay, if I do take out the loan, then what does that look like? How much is it going to cost me? Will I be able to pay it back? And so there's really having to be some customized conversations taking place with each individual, because every individual situation is different. Everyone's business is different. Take your business, for example. You have individuals that you're working with on a consistent basis, and you're putting out marketing or developing a website and things of that nature. So you're not dealing in inventory, right? So, some people who need inventory had businesses out in California and amongst other places that were getting ready to shut down. And so they had to make a really quick decision, because it was like, well, my supplier is saying that they're going to be shut down for the next month. And if I don't order supplies now, I may not have anything to sell. So I think it varies based on each individual. And it's a very custom fit type of situation right now. Nobody's really able to put anybody in a box, or should not. I don't advise anyone to put anybody in a box, because everybody's situation is unique right now.
Very much so. And it's a really good point that you made about the fact that there are service-based businesses who don't have inventory, or people who, already can work from anywhere. I always joke, or I used to joke back before this Corona situation, that I can work anywhere with Wi-Fi. And so my overhead for things like having a brick and mortar, that kind of thing, aren't really a concern for me, because though I work out of a space, a co-working space in Birmingham at Forge, I could not, I could be at home. That could have already been my situation. And so if I had a brick and mortar, if I needed to have a larger payroll, or if I needed a certain type of inventory to be able to send out, to be able to ship, it's very, very different. There is a Q&A, everyone. I did see one person put something there. I do see it. And so I'm going to stop occasionally and address those. So if you have a question you'd like to ask, please feel free to use that. So my next question I wanted to ask is there a seemingly bad situation where you feel like this business, though, because of pandemic, may be seeing some issues, but still maybe should not go the route of taking a loan? Like, what are the not so pretty setups or situations where people are like, yeah, the money's there, but maybe you shouldn't make that decision? What does that look
Well, so there's a couple of different ways, and again, we have a big gap of individuals that we're talking to. We're talking from a dollar up to 36 million, and so there's a lot of different scenarios that fall into that. So first and foremost, you want to evaluate what your unique situation is, kind of what I stated prior. And so one, I think that when you have a very small amount of employees, you have to ask yourself a real question. Are you borrowing the money to support your lifestyle in a sense that you built off of the business? And is it actually going to keep the business afloat?
right?
I tell people all the I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks, if you take out this loan, is the loan actually going to help the business be here in the next 2.5 years? Because you're taking out a loan, you have to look at the term of the loan. So if you're taking out a 6-year term loan, you're personally guaranteeing that debt. From what I understand, there's 1 or 2 products on the market right now that you don't have to personally guarantee, but the majority of them you're going to have to personally guarantee. So whether or not you're in business doing this particular entity or not, you're going to be personally responsible for this debt. So in a scenario where you're not 100% sure that this will even be around during the duration of this long term, that may be a not so good situation where you should take out the debt.
And so would we be looking at like what was happening before pandemic to try to figure that out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you started to see a decrease in sales, if your bottom line income, or what's technically called your net income after all of your expenses, whether you were tracking that on a monthly or quarterly basis, or even just looking at it on your taxes, a lot of business owners that we serve, they only see it on their tax returns. And if you saw that you made $100,000, but you had a loss, and that's been happening for the last couple of years, and you may say, well, I'm committed, I'm passionate, I believe in this, but I feel that I want to take out a loan because I have 2 people that are depending on me, and I know their families, and I want to help them as well. But you've been seeing a constant decline. You have to ask yourself, is that actually going to be a real benefit? Does that help you support those families? Maybe, for the time being. But also, you don't want to because then now you're putting yourself in a situation where while you supported those families right now, you're still going to have to be the person on the line for paying that long term. And so it is and I'm trying my best to be very careful with my words, because it's a very uncomfortable time, and a very uncomfortable conversation and a thought process to ask yourself, as the business owners who dreamed or had a vision or had a long-term goal to start this company, and now you had no clue that this was coming along.
Right.
And you're really in a situation where you're questioning whether or not you should close your doors. And I never want to jump out there and tell anybody that, but that's unfortunately one of the possibilities, or one of the options that a lot of business owners are having to consider to save themselves from being in a deeper hole than what they may be already in. Because none of this stuff none of these loans can make a landlord, not take you to court for the amount of money that you owe them. I'm not really sure what the utility companies and amongst others are doing, but there's a lot of different instances and a lot of people that are payables that are out there that people have to pay. And, sometimes it's all saying that you have to cut your losses while you're ahead. And so it's a very uncomfortable conversation. But at the same time, a loan is not a quick fix and not going to be the end all be all to a lot of these problems that some of the businesses are having.
Okay. So, and I see, Jamie, I see your question. Mark, I see your question. And Anna, I see your question. Anne, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask 1 or 2 more things, and then I'm going to make sure we have enough time to go through the questions. So if you have one and you don't want to forget it, please feel free to either use a Q&A or drop it in the chat, and I'll scroll back up in a moment. So I know one question that keeps coming up for a lot of people is, if I do get a loan, so let's say, I haven't seen any decline really, and to Jamie's question, maybe I just got started not long ago and things were fine. I haven't really gotten to a place where I've seen it in a bad situation. And let's say I do opt to take a loan. What would you say is what I should be considering utilizing the loan for? Like, we talk about supporting staff or contractors, or just people who are working with us. But are there other more strategic things that we could be thinking about on how we utilize that money in order to stay afloat? What are kind of some best practices or things to think about? Because of course my mind says you should spend it on marketing because I'm a marketer, one, but also because, when we think about whatever kind of pivot or realignment you've had to make, you now have to communicate that to your audience. But as we know, a lot of people don't necessarily see the value in investing in marketing. So what do you think people should be considering if they decide to take a loan, in the plan of how they plan to use it to survive?
Great question. The loan, in my personal opinion, when you look down through the expenses that you have right now, is going to be a combination of where your business currently is today, how you make sales, and where you deem your business will be in the next 6 months to a year in regards to sales. We pride ourselves on being able to help businesses get access to capital. And so our consultation, when we consult, we're talking through, you take the money to make money.
Right.
You don't take the money just to take the money. You take the money to generate additional revenue. It's an opportunity for you to be able to maximize something that was outside of your reach, but with access to funds, that becomes closer and more of a reality for you to be able to do so. So for instance, if you have a company and right now the thing that's hurting you is the fact that you can't pay people, but you can still generate income if you were able to pay your people, then that makes sense to me.
Okay.
That makes sense to me for you to be able to take out a loan to pay your employees, because if you pay your employees and you keep them on staff, everything pretty much either stays the same or stays close to where it was, to where you can still generate and make a profit. If you're taking the money from making what would be deemed as an emotional decision and not a business decision, that changes things, because now you're saying, I'm probably not going to make any money. More than likely, I'm going to take a loss by doing this, but it's just going to make me feel good that I can pay my people. Right. Those are two completely different decisions. So your loan should primarily be for your fixed cost things, your business insurance. And so if right now, while you're still not making income or the revenue that you used to make, if you have a restaurant, you have a brick and mortar, you have a business, a building that you own, if something was to happen to that building during this time, you would want to make sure that your insurance had not lapsed. So you need to pay your insurance. You want to make sure that if you have a mortgage or you have a landlord that's not willing to give you some type of deferment, you want to be able to pay that person. There are some things that are out there. I do not profess to be a tax professional or giving any tax advice, but there are things that are out there regarding taxes. And so as pertains to Alabama state taxes and some other areas, and also payroll taxes. So there may be some things that you can work out there that you may not have to pay part of that, but you may have individuals that you may need to work out those relationships. So again, it's on a case by case basis, but you really want to make sure those things that you have to pay right now, that the COVID-19 has caused a decrease in your revenue to where you're not able to pay those things. But if you are able to pay those things, your business will continue to move along and you'll still be able to be profitable. That's what you want to be. But that's kind of the grid that I've been giving people. Yes, we're taking out the money. Yes, we're wanting to help people. Yes, we want to pay our people. But if we continue to move forward, are we going to start to become profitable and still be able to generate income? Or are we not going to generate income and we're just kind of going to be sitting, but we're just holding on and just waiting until after the fact? So I think that's the thing that you really want to make sure.
So do you think that, because I mean, I definitely agree, of course, with, because there's two sides of this in my mind. There is the, I'm trying not to drown, but then I am still in business. And so I still have to think about, growing despite all of the craziness. And so with that said about, hey, there are certain things that I just do not need to let lapse, like my business insurance, or
Mhm.
I have people on my payroll or people that I work with, or I need certain kinds of inventory in order just to continue. If
Right.
there is room for, hey, well, I do have to pivot and I had not invested in a certain kind of technology or a certain kind of whatever to open the capacity or the opportunity to go forward because I have to, I can't open my doors or whatever. But if I had this piece of technology, or if I could, get a different, in addition to my website or whatever, those are things too that I think people have to remember are now a part of running their business. Because there's a change in there. It's like, okay, yes, there are things I need to not let lapse, but I still can't open the doors. So what am I doing to make sure I can still generate some revenue? If this loan will only get me keeping things afloat, what's my thought around, what I'm going to do next, and does that cost me money too? Because we have to consider that as a part of running the business now. And I think it's important for people to just remember, that you have both things to consider, both what's happened before and what you're having to do now for your business, because those are not always the same things as we're seeing. So I do want to hit some of these questions because I don't want them to go too far. One is a statement. So Anne said, hi, I'm afraid that I won't be able to pay back a loan after I already have an SBA loan that I'm dealing with. And I don't see why financial institutions are going to profit on my situation when big businesses are getting a bailout. So any thoughts about that?
No, I mean, I agree with what she's saying about, I already, that's that assessment. Every business owner has to do a personal assessment right now. It's always been recommended, but a personal assessment at this time is crucial. And taking a real look at your business. And if you're not really sure how to do that, that's something that we can help you with here at Sabre. That's something that the Alabama Small Business Development Center Network can help you with. Create Birmingham can help you with. There's multiple entities here throughout the state that will really help you to analyze what is going on in your business. You need to look at everything that you own, from the money that you got from the POS system, whether it was Cobra or Square or PayPal, from every debt that you have, every responsibility, every payment that you need to make, and really say, okay, what can I afford to pay? Who will work with me? And how much is this going to cost me? And I agree. So that's that self-assessment portion of it. So that's a great starting point to begin to make that decision.
I think that with the thought about kind of the bailout versus, bailout for big business versus loans for small businesses, which I know can feel like real shady on the part of the government. But I do think that too, we have to remember that some of these industries employ hundreds of thousands of people, like thousands of people. And not to say that I don't, in my mind, it's not to say that small businesses and the people that they employ are not important. But it definitely takes a little bit less and it's a little easier. And I even said this in another aspect, that it's easier for smaller businesses to pivot, to change, to adjust because they are small. But when you're talking about, a whole, like the airline industry, that's what they do. They're parking planes. There are people, so many people that go into just one plane taking off, and just the hundreds of people per plane, sometimes that are working on them, flying them around, not just your pilot, not just the person who's telling you where the exits are, but the people with the orange things, the people who put your luggage on. And so sometimes those bailouts, I think, consider how large of an economic impact that industry falling through would have, that is so far, like so devastating to the entire the entire economy. And again, not to say small businesses don't have an impact, because they do. But for most of us, if we, struggle for 2 months, hundreds of thousands of people won't lose their job, right? So I think that that's kind of the thought behind bailout for some, but they're, even with them, they're having some requirements that we couldn't meet, as small businesses as well.
Yeah, There's a lot of, I don't know all the details, but from what I understand, there's some responsibility on their part, and there's some penalties that they're actually having to endure as a result of it as well. So it's just it's definitely not free money. One of our advisors on a call that I was on last week with the SBDC, they mentioned that there's just not a such thing as free money. So everything that's being presented and everything that's given out, while it may sound like free money, I guarantee you that there's something somewhere in some fine print that is quite painful to with accepting those funds. So so there's definitely a caveat in there on both ends.
So Mark says, is this a good time to take advantage of the lower interest rates for an SBA loan?
Yes. I mean, it is. I mean, 3.75 is a great interest rate, but again, that's the economic injury disaster loan that has that 3.75, and I believe it's might be 2.75 for nonprofits. So it just really depends. Again, even with that program, I believe that you want to make sure that you need it. I just don't, I just don't believe that business owners should have to take on debt just to take on debt.
Right.
It has to make money. It should make money. It should be, a lot of people say, well, people get buildings. And so if you get a building, that plan for that building is going to traditionally have some type of value. It becomes an asset over a period of time. It can appreciate depending on where it's located, and it could allow you to do more than what you may have been doing. And so it may be justified. And so I think that people really have to take the time to make an assessment. I think because we are in a pandemic, the world is being impacted right now.
Right.
And our decision making is so critical right now, because this really could make or break any business at this moment, no matter how large or small you are.
Right.
And it's extremely important for you to consult professionals. This is not a time for you to go out on a limb and feel that I can do this all by myself and I know what I'm doing and this is my business. You need to take the time.
Be saying, I'm afraid, because that's me. That's the I don't want anybody to know the truth about, my numbers, my whatever. Like, that's a real fear. And, I've dealt with that before plenty of times. I'm like, I may need some help, but if I have to share too much and expose my soul, I probably won't get it, because I don't want, and it's not often that it's bad, that your situation is so horrible that the people who are helping you are going to go, oh my gosh, I can't help you. Like, that is not what happens. But there is fear, around just sharing and exposing where you are. But people have to know the truth in order to help you make sound decisions. And so just to make sure, we add that little caveat. It's like, don't be afraid to ask, even if they do have to tell you, hey, this is not a good step to take. Let's think about some other things. At least you know the truth, as opposed to dealing in, like you said, making some emotional decisions.
And just to add something, most of the state funded and a lot of the larger and even the local level small business support services, they have a confidentiality clause. So, that's somewhere that you can feel safe. Again, whether that's at Sabre Finance or again, some of the other organizations that I've mentioned, they have a confidentiality clause to make sure that your information in that conversation is a private, confidential conversation. And but make sure that you talk to someone. Reach out. There's resources available. Start with the SBA's website if you would like, but just make sure that you are speaking with someone that you trust and that you have found that can offer the services that you're looking for and help you with this process, because it's more important than it's ever been.
Right. That's so true.
More important than it's ever been right now.
So Janie asks, can we address just newer businesses who may have only been operating for under a year? So if you are brand new, which I told someone recently that my heart bleeds for people who are brand new or who were like right at the beginning of starting or considering starting, and they were in those very core stages. You know, we do co-starters program, and thinking about people who were in that cohort just really developing their idea out, and you know, you have all these hopes and dreams, and then suddenly, you know, it's a fight for mask and toilet paper, and you're like, okay, you know, what's going to happen in my life with my idea, with my business? So what do we say, especially concerning loans, to people who've been in business for less than a year?
You know, that's a tough question, because I also have to ask them, how did they start? You know, if you were employed prior, were you employed prior? Have you always been an entrepreneur? And what does your personal financial situation look like? You know, again, when I talk about professionals, this is a holistic conversation. So it may include someone at a entity that helps small businesses from our end. But then also it may include another segment where you have a personal banker or someone that you trust to give you personal financial advice, because those work hand in hand. So not only should you be looking at your personal expenses, your business expenses and what you have to pay for your business, you have to look at your personal expenses, you know, and just making a real decision on whether or not this is a good time for you to continue in that. You know, because if you're just starting, you've been in it less than a year, and you know, you shouldn't be too far from the shore, if that makes sense. You know, so I think I would hope that there was still some type of safety net maybe that you built in, some type of financial, whether you were using, a lot of people use their retirement funds. You know, maybe there's still some things that you could kind of reel back your business, and maybe you didn't jump too far out there. But some people do. Some people jump out there with debt initially. You know, they take on a $20,000 loan or a $30,000 loan initially. And maybe that's going to be a conversation for you to say, hey, lender, is there a deferment plan that I can take advantage of? You know, you really have to exhaust all options at this point. You really have to.
So with those, and just to kind of be more specific on that question, so when it comes to like the SBA loans and just the loans that are available, is there a requirement around length of time in business?
Some of them, from what I understand, there are. I think with the EIDL, I believe it's a lot more relaxed, which is the economic injury disaster loan, where you can go on to the SBA's website and register. I do believe that it's a lot more relaxed. I don't have that right in front of me at this moment. I'll look it up here in a second, but I do believe it's more relaxed than the Paycheck Protection Program.
This is such a good segue. You don't even know, because the next question is EIDL versus payroll protection. Someone was saying they've had a lot of business owner friends asking, you know, which one maybe makes more sense. Idea about just kind of some pros and cons around choosing, or go for it all. What do you do?
You know, it's this is the you know, this, you say you want to have a real conversation. This is the thing about the SBA products. You know, most two tots, the EIDL is going to be administered through the Small Business Administration. So you're going to apply directly to the SBA. The Paycheck Protection Program is created by the SBA, but you'll have to go through a financial institution in order to get that. So that creates two different dynamics for you. One, for the EIDL loan, the economic injury disaster loan, you'll have to meet the SBA's requirements. So there has a credit requirement. They have a requirement that they're going to want you to show the ability to repay the loan. They haven't given us a lot of insight on what that means at this time. We've only heard that some individuals have been declined due to not meeting the credit threshold. And so obviously we're realizing there's an initial threshold that they are looking for. I don't know what that number is. It says credit acceptable to the SBA. So, you know, that's historically we've known that to be 650 or above, but I don't know if that's what they're using now. So I think that's one thing that you have to consider with the two. One or the other is the process. The other side is the Paycheck Protection Program. You have to go through a lender. So that lender has to actually approve you to bring you in. And so the SBA is working through their 7A program, which they have preferred lenders or lenders who are approved to do 7A loans. So that's going to require you to go through that lender's application process. And that can come with a completely different set of standards based on the lender. And so a lot of that at this time is still very unclear. A lot of individuals are really pushing that out and telling people to apply and telling people to get access to it. One of the hot buttons is the loan forgiveness portion of that. A lot of individuals say, well, I can automatically apply and then the loan will be forgiven. Per the SBA's website, it is not automatic that the loan will be forgiven. And so there are some requirements. A lot of that still has not been made clear as into what exactly you have to do. Those individuals do have to be employed for 8 weeks after the loan is actually approved. And so I think that's going to be somewhere through June. And so they are really, to your point, they are trying to make sure that people stay employed or you rehire the people that you had to furlough or lay off. Right. That's what this is specifically for. So there is a protection barrier that's there to make sure that people aren't just getting the loans and, trying to, make sure that they are protecting themselves. There's really a lot of focus around creating, retaining jobs. That's the big thing about this. It's about retaining jobs right now. So I want you all to be very careful. Again, I understand that business owners I tell business owners all the time, you all are some of the most ambitious and hardworking people that I know. You're always up. You're always reading, you're up in the midnight hours. I get more emails now from business owners than ever before at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because they're just up and their brains are working. So I understand that there's a lot that you're looking at, but please make sure that you're speaking with someone who's experienced in the 7A world, experience, and they have either spoken with the SBA's district office. Wherever you're located, the best source is the Small Business Administrative District Office in your area. That is a great place to start. They are a great, credible resource, and they are hearing directly from the lawmakers. So I think it's very important that you're getting the accurate information, because what will be the worst thing that you can do is take out the Paycheck Protection loan and you thought that the loan was going to be forgiven, so you put it in the back of your mind and it's not going to be. And that's not going to be good. So I think it's very important to make an informed decision and get as much information from the SBA as you possibly can before you make a decision either way.
Okay. So thank you for that answer. So Stephanie said, is there a proven system to sustain a business for 5 or 6 years before you can see your profit? Just something to consider before taking a loan, she was saying, and as a comment. She says, as experts would say, you looking at statistics that a business owner is more successful with a degree than without. I'm curious for long-term purposes. Example, if my small business develops into a corporation. So.
Got it. I think I understand her question. It's an old saying, but a lot of people say slow and steady wins the race. Mm-hmm. I think that most of the times, from what I've heard and what I've experienced, and so this is just me, Reginald, speaking, so I can't speak for every business owner because I haven't talked to every business owner, but from my experience, a lot of business owners that are in the micro enterprise space, they want to be big. They want to be really big. They want to be a multi-million-dollar, $25, $30 million company. And the beautiful thing about my experience is that I've had the privilege of working with 50 and 60 and 35 and $40 million institutions, and they didn't get there overnight. They didn't get there in 5 years. They didn't get there in 10 years in most cases. It took them some time to get there. the tech boom came in, and we saw a lot of companies grow from 0 to $20 million in 6 months, and that's a thing. And now every service business and every business that I run into is like, I want to be big. And so I think there are a couple of things that you have to do, in my personal opinion, to make sure that you're sustainable. And when I tell people about being a sustainable and profitable organization, you can profit from day one. And what I mean by that is that you have to set your company up in a way that it will profit. People don't go, and you should not go into business not to make money. At the end of the year, if at your bottom line, if you don't have any money, that means that something, somewhere, we have to look at it and say, why did I not make money? And we have to make an adjustment, because the purpose of being in business is to generate revenue. Right. And not to just generate revenue, but to also have money left over after that. And so that may be whether we're buying a certain way, maybe we need to look for new vendors, maybe our payroll is too high, maybe our overhead is too high. But I think it's very, very critical that you find a strategy or a formula that works for your business early on. Sit down with some type of consultant or some type of business consulting service professional. Again, the Alabama Small Business Development Center Network is fantastic at doing so. And they will assist you in working to say, if you continue along these lines, this is what your business could be projected to be like in 3 to 5 years. And you need to see that type of individual. A lot of times, you learn those things in those business classes. She mentioned going to school and things of that nature, but, that can also be self-taught. YouTube is a phenomenal resource today. There are also other nonprofit entities that are out here that can help you with those things. So you can visually see that if I continue to trend along these lines for the next 3 to 4 years, this is what my business could look like. And you, as a business owner, have to begin to develop forethought that's up to really 6 months to a year ahead of where you are right now, to be able to say, okay, how am I going to either get these incremental margin increase, or whether or not we want to stay steady for now. It just really depends on your industry, what your product is, and the demand for it in the market. And so I think that's a kind of one-off, very customized conversation. But I do think that there is a opportunity for that to continue to be flushed out. So I think that's a great question.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Thank you, Buddy, for adding the link to ASBDC in the chat. So thank you all because, normally in any webinar situation, I'm usually the person commenting everything, but I can't do it all right now. So thank you for adding that. So from our Facebook people who are watching from Facebook, Terry Ann asked, what about independent business owners that don't have payroll but have rent, vendors, tech, insurance, etc.?
Got it. Great question. So if you don't have employees, the idle is going to be a good product for you. Looking for other lenders that may be in your area, because it depends on how fast you need the money as well. And so from what I understand, the economic injury disaster loan could take some time. I think normal SBA underwriting is 45 to 60 days. So it depends on how long you have to wait. Sabre Finance, and there are a lot of other entities that are available out there. So you can actually go to the CDFI, the U.S. Treasury CDFI's website, and search for CDFIs in your area for you to reach out to. You can also go to the Alabama Small Business Development Center Network. They have a lender match page there. The SBA has a lender match page there. Finding someone that exhaust all options at this point. You really need to know what you need, what you want to borrow. And, that's a conversation that should take a little time for you to be able to really see what you want to do. And, you can really maximize that. Maybe if rent is the most important thing, a $10,000 loan may do it for you. Maybe rent's $2,000, you get 5 months worth of rent, and that really takes it to the next level for you. But I think it's up to each business owner to make sure that they understand exactly what they need and not take out more than they need.
Yeah. And I do think, just to your point, understanding what you need is really important, which means we have to, as business owners, take a moment and literally just pause and say, okay, what all do I have? And what do I feel like I need in order to do whatever I need to do? So just kind of reiterating that. But also just, even though it's kind of in a pressing space, like pressing mode, you can still shop around. Like you were just saying, like you still should talk to people. And granted, you may feel like, oh, I don't have time to shop around, but because of the nature of what we're going through, people are willing to talk and they're willing to do it quickly because they understand the impact that it's having on businesses. So don't think that, you have to take the first thing that comes open. If that's not directly an SBA loan, if it is through a micro lender, if it is through a CDFI, if it is through whoever it's through, have those conversations, be willing to shoot a couple emails and say, hey, I just need to better understand what you're offering. Here's what I have. Here's my situation. Do you have something that can help me get through this in a decent way? So don't be afraid, to just still shop around. Buddy is killing it with the links. Come through, Buddy. He has links to Sabre, to BBRC in Birmingham, to Create, to Rev, Urban Impact, Operation Hope. Man, listen. And now, unfortunately, when this ends, the chat goes with it. So if you are not copying and pasting or taking some kind of notes from the chat, I will try to say that, Buddy, if you have a list of who you're putting, then everyone who registered, then we'll kind of put that out somewhere to say these are the links that were in the chat. So thank you for that answer. We do have another question. Lashana says, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, there were initially talks speculating that the small business loans were instead being converted into grants that did not have to be paid back. However, an email was sent to BHAM Strong loan applicants just yesterday stating the following, and it reads, the CARES Act that was just passed created a new SBA Economic Injury Emergency Grant Program. These grants provide an emergency advance of up to $10,000 to small businesses and provide nonprofits harmed by COVID-19 within 3 days of applying for SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. These are all becoming extremely convoluted. Can anyone shed light on whether we have to apply for another loan to request access to this grant? Do you know anything about that?
That's a great question. If we could, I do not. I do not. Again, this is what I was told by the Alabama district office on Monday. They communicated to us that since it was signed into law on Friday, that the SBA actually had 15 days to administer the program. So I know that there's a lot continuing to unfold. I still think it's kind of minute by minute, hour by hour right now. Hopefully by the end of the week, there will be a lot more clarity on what is going on, what exactly is available, and how this is going to work. But unfortunately, I have not. So if we can get that particular participant's information, and I could run it up to some sources and try to get an answer back. But unfortunately, that's the first that I've heard that something was actually going to be converted into a grant. And so, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm just simply saying that that's the first that I've heard of it.
Okay. And which, and that's, again, just to your thing you said repeatedly, is that a lot of it feels unclear. And I think that in our own kind of, not panic, but just trying to figure it out so quickly, we get really frustrated when the information is very muddy. But I always try, as someone told me, I'm this super understanding person. My clients don't think that. But I just try to remember that, it's new for us. We're trying to figure it out, but so is SBA, so is BHAM Strong, and so the information changes, the resources availability changes, what the government will allow changes. And sometimes that is minute by minute, hour by hour. If you watch press releases, whatever the person said yesterday could be different the next day. We have one other person who mentioned something. I know we have two, but real quick. So Duquette said, when they say forgivable, what does that really mean? Are there grants available out there?
Great question. It's supposed to be the indebtedness goes away, meaning that per the actual bill, it actually states that if all of the requirements that they're asking the business owners to meet, that the indebtedness with the financial institution will go away. And so but again, that is not automatic, and that is something that has to. There are several different criterias that we all have had a lot of questions about, and do not have answers about back at this time to really be able to speak clearly and confidently um, to that portion of it. But it is supposed to be per the actual legislation that went into that was signed by the president, that is supposed to be, the indebtedness is supposed to be forgiven.
Okay, so
on the Paycheck Protection Program. That's what they're calling the Paycheck Protection Program.
And I think it's smart to be looking at it being forgivable because, of course, like a lot of small business owners are thinking, we go and take on these new responsibilities, given that that's kind of the only choices some of us may have. Mm-hmm. But then the journey behind that is like, yeah, you kept me afloat, but now that people are back out, they are out there spending money, doing things, coming back into my location, or feeling like they have the money to spend on something other than necessities, which a lot of people are just feeling that crunch. Like, yeah, I would love to buy your earrings from your cute shop, except if I have to decide between groceries and your cute earrings, I can't do both right now, just out of sheer protection for my own family. Mm-hmm. But when that time does come, thinking about it being forgivable is very smart on the part of our, government entities to say, hey, we may be able to help keep you afloat, but we don't also want to put you in this big hole, for after the fact. Right. So Autumn said on the EIDL $10,000 grant, she found a quick Google search on that. So, a lot of this, I think it's important. And Tanisha said that she spoke with SBA on a customer service line, and it was confirmed at an advance on the loan and that it will convert to a grant. So I think that all of that is to say, and she dropped a link there, all of that to say as we wrap up, that you do have to do the research. Like you said, granted, it changes all the time, it feels like, but if you are considering any of this help, any of the resources, like I said, there's no such thing as free money. Even if it does turn into a grant, whatever the requirements are, there's going to be some level of requirement, but you have to be willing to say that if I do have to pay it back, if I do have to, let that be the icing on the cake.
That's correct.
Still remember that it's like you still have to be ready to take care of paying it back if that should be a thing. It's like, yes, hopefully it's all forgivable, but who knows what changes and they can't make it forgivable. And I think that that's why they're kind of on the heels of just saying right out, hey, you get this and later on you don't have to pay it, we got to protect ourselves too as a government agency to say, maybe you do. So I think that doing the research and, as you said multiple times, talking to professionals, people who have been doing this before pandemic, and there's a ton of webinars. I know that SBDC is doing a bunch of, like, today, tomorrow, and Friday. I don't know what day today is, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think, or maybe next Monday, are doing these different webinars and information on how to apply, what it all means, because it is a lot to take on. So any last thoughts from you before we wrap up and I thank everyone?
Sure. Again, these are very unique times for all of us, but especially for the lifeblood of the United States, which is the small businesses. So, again, I said it in another video. I said this is the opportunity for all of those creative ideas that a lot of the entrepreneurs had in the back of their mind, that they may have not cost them a lot of money, but they were thinking about maybe making a pivot. Don't allow this to stifle your creativity.
Right.
I believe that a lot of businesses that are out there have creative ways that they can continue to generate revenue. Right. And so continue to generate revenue as much as you can. obey the laws that have been set before us. Let's make sure that it doesn't go against, social distancing amongst other things that we said, but continue to be creative. Don't panic. If you have a panic moment, talk to somebody, try to get through that moment, but you're going to have to be strategic because this is not going to go away once you're done. Once this is done, we will get past this. We will go back to operating and people shopping and amongst other things. And so at that point, you want to make sure that you put yourself in a good position to still be able to have a thriving company. And you don't want to look back and say, you know what, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and I probably should have waited, and I may have would have did something else if I wouldn't have just kind of panicked. But let's make sure that we're taking our time and being very strategic and really being just kind of overly analytic about this situation here. Analyze it, look at it, and then make a decision. And so that's the best that I have. Our office is open. We're working remote, but webinar and Zoom and Skype, and Microsoft Teams, and FaceTime, all of those good things have become our primary sources of how we're consulting businesses. It has not stopped. So again, if you need assistance for thinking through how do we get this done, please reach out to us. We would love to help. And again, I just want to thank the entire Create Birmingham team. Thank you for thinking of me to reach out to us. And we, from all of us at Sabre Finance, we really appreciate you guys tuning in, asking your questions, and allowing us to provide some type of insight. And I hope that this was helpful.
Well, thank you so much, Reginald. We surely do appreciate you and all the work that you all do. I know I do personally, and I know our entire team, who a couple are here. Buddy, our CEO, Jessica Moody, our Director of Programs, is here as well. And we are trying to update our site at createbirmingham.org to have resources just ongoing as things kind of present themselves and show up. And so there was a link for that in the chat. Again, for those who registered, we'll try to shoot out an email. Thank you all so very much for being here. There's a lot of thank yous happening in the chat. No, thank you for being here and asking the questions. There was a question that we didn't get to with virtual works. I want to encourage you to reach out directly to Reginald. He's a wealth of information, and he is trying to give it out every day in these Facebook streets. I see him on a video, on a status, doing something every single day, trying to tell people stuff. And so if you have that question on sabrefinance.org.
Yes, and so you can find us on sabrefinance.org, and I'll put our information on the actual chat really quick here, so you can get a hold.
Yeah, so do email him, and I'm not taking myself out of it. Feel free. I'm at Jackie@createbirmingham.org, but he has the answers you're looking for loans. I don't have those answers, so just make that clear. But do reach out to any of the Sabre Finance team. They'll get you to the right person, or get you to Reginald. And just thank you guys for being here. And there will be a replay. We've recorded this. We're going to upload it. So if there's some information that you feel like, man, I didn't get to take the notes for that, or I didn't, I need to hear that answer again, then hopefully we can turn that around and get it posted on the Create Birmingham Facebook page. Maybe we can embed it, Jessica, on that site of resources. Just we'll throw that out there. So thank you all for being here. Again, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And just know, she's ahead of me, of course you are, just know that all of us, Create Birmingham, Sabre Finance, and every service provider, every resource provider that is in your city and state is looking to help you right now. You are not in this by yourself. And I want to remind people of that. It's not just you. It may feel like it. And I know that everybody feels like they need help, but we are all looking at, small businesses trying to be there. And that's whether you're a solopreneur or you're up there at the 36 million. We are here for you as much as we can be. So that's my website. Someone asked for it. It's onedegreemmm.com, like make more money. So thank you guys for being here. We're going to end this now. And again, reach out to Reginald or myself or anyone at Create or Sabre, and we'll do our best to assist you the best way we know how. You all have a wonderful, wonderful day.